I am extremely humbled and honored today to share with you and to have been invited to be the keynote speaker. I think it's appropriate for us to give our esteemed co-founders and leaders for the Scanner News Group, who started in 1975. We want to give them a hand today. Mr. and Mrs. Bernie Foster, thank you for your legacy, for your commitment, and for all that you do. Special honor to all of our distinguished guests, as already been mentioned, elected officials, those of protocol, and those who I don't know to call. I greet you today with joy and certainly with peace. It is quite appropriate that we today celebrate an old warrior for justice in this hour. For those of you that have never heard me speak before, I start off Presbyterian. I may end up Pentecostal, but we'll be all right today. And I am humbled today as this the 37th annual Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast, which is in fact the biggest event of its kind on the West Coast. I am undoubtedly owe a debt of gratitude. We all owe a debt of gratitude to the Scanner News for keeping the voice of people that look like me alive, for understanding that there's power in media, there's power in voice, there's power even before social media, there's power in understanding that you and I have a story that must be told. As you think about the fact and the reality that all of us have good days and most of us have bad days, the Scanner News has captured the journey of black folk on our up days and even on our down days, the moments that didn't go viral. They've captured those moments and keep before us so that we understand that at the end of the day, not only what we do for ourselves, but what we do for each other is what's going to keep us moving forward, understanding that all of us are drum majors for justice. And I know that as a people we have long been in an unremitting state of emergency, because after all, if it ain't Tamir Rice, it's Michael Brown. If it's not Michael Brown, it's Oscar Grant. If it's not Oscar Grant, it's George Floyd. If it's not George Floyd, it's Tatiana Jefferson. And we know full well that it's in the words of a famed journalist, it is difficult to be a firefighter. We thank all those who are fighting on the front lines, those first responders. It's difficult to be a police officer. We are grateful for their contribution, but it is inherently dangerous in 2023 to still be black in this America. It's dangerous. It's dangerous being on the front lines. It's dangerous in many of the places that we serve. But at the end of the day, we've got to echo the words of Dr. King and understand that as that old Negro spiritual would bellow out, if I could help somebody along the way, then my living will not be in vain. We understand full well. In fact, there's an old story about two boys who had they no longer had parental covering. They no longer had a home to call their own. And so they made their way to a place called Boys Town. And the story goes that as they're going there, they're catching buses. They're having to catch the train. The wind begins to blow and the rain begins to fall, but they're on their way to Boys Town. They get off the last train on their way to Boys Town, and they soon discover that they've got to walk the last little bit to their final destination. So they begin to walk. An older brother and a younger brother, they begin to walk. And a big brother and a little brother, they begin to walk toward their final destination. And as they're going there, the younger brother said, "Big brother, I'm tired, man. I don't know if I can push forward much longer." He said, "Let's keep going, man. Let's keep going. We've come too far to turn back now." Let me tell you, my dear friends, we've come too far to turn back now. And so as they're marching and as they're walking and as they're making their way to Boys Town, the little brother yelled out once again, "Big bro, I'm getting tired, man. My legs are hurting. My feet are blistering. I don't know if I can go much further." The older brother bends over and like that big brother who had been in the fight for a little while, he lets the little brother get on his back. And they began to walk. Somebody will get it in a minute. They began to walk. They didn't stop their journey. They began to walk. I said the big brother bent over, and he let the little brother get on his back. He said, "Bro, I got you, man. Let's go ahead and make sure we continue walking to our final destination." They get to Boys Town finally. The headmaster peeks out the window. He opens the door. He says to the big brother, "Put that boy down. He's much too heavy for you." The older brother looked back at the headmaster with all due respect. He said, "Man, Mr. Headmaster, thank you so much for your concern, but he's not heavy. He's my brother." And I've come 962 miles to remind the great folk in this great city that we've got a duty to one another. And if I can help somebody along the way, you must understand that at the end of the day, we live in a world that's all about ourselves. They're all about getting for themselves. But I believe that we as a people, if we are going to finish strong, if we are going to finish what we started, if we're going to keep moving forward, I know your feet get tired. I know every now and again you feel like sitting this one out. I know there are times on this journey when you get weary, but hold on just a little while longer. I know it gets upsetting sometimes, but at the end of the day, if I've got some folk that's been fighting for a while, why don't you stoop down and help somebody along the way? We understand that the struggle is not just real, the struggle is life. Have I got my help in here today yet? The struggle is not just real, the struggle is the air that I breathe. The struggle is not just real, but the struggle, every morning we get up as we scroll down the timeline. I just heard the news last week about a brother, a 10th grade teacher who was tased about 7 times in LA and finally went into cardiac arrest. The struggle is real. Which is why Dr. King said, and I quote, "The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by bad people, but the silence over that by the good people." Let me come to your table because only about 70% of y'all clap. Let me come to your seat. Dr. King said, and I quote, we're about to move into Pentecostal gear now, the ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. we know without a shadow of a doubt that there have been some good people that were not as dark as I am. There's been some good people who have not been kissed by nature's sun. But yet they have helped us along the way. We know full well that at the end of the day, we need help to get to where we're going. And it's time out. It's time out for good people to be silent. I don't need an edible arrangement and a card from you. I need you to speak up. Ain't nobody saying nothing back to me today. You can keep your carnation and send it all over the nation. I need somebody to speak up on my behalf. So here it is, as Senator Manning stole some of my minutes. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to steal them back. This Bible, I came 962 miles to remind you that as we celebrate today without apology, the most renowned mover and shaker of the civil rights movement, one who had big dreams not just for black people, he had big dreams for humanity. He did not have big dreams. That's it. Give him a hand. Yeah, he did not just have big dreams. He did not just have big dreams for those who were down south. He had dreams for every nation, every kindred, every tongue, and every people. He had big dreams for the human race. I'm talking about dreams that were so big that it said that before he died at 39, he traveled over 6 million miles to tell that dream. He traveled and delivered upwards of 2,500 speeches to tell that dream. He won a Nobel Peace Prize just to tell that dream. He wrote 5 books before he died to tell somebody along the way. In fact, I'm glad today that MLK Jr.'s name is iconic now. And chills even roll down your spine when you remember the words he uttered the night before he was assassinated. Standing there at Mason Temple Church in Memphis, Tennessee, he declared, like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight, he said that we as a people will get to the promised land. And even as we reflect on the reality that his dream was cut short, for we know for a fact that throughout history, the full impact of black people on this nation has not been fully told. Which is why in 1976, the year after the scandal started, Gerald Ford said these words to seize the opportunity. He said, Americans, we must seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of black people in every area of endeavor throughout our history. Thus, we understand today, well, every now and again, we get the green light to have a day here or there. Every now and again, you ain't got to go to work because we celebrating something somewhere, somehow. A day, well, I'm glad to be here with you. A day, Dr. Johnson, is not enough. In other words, in our grand quest to find the accounts of people of color, don't you forget that the dream of Dr. King is still alive today. When you hear about that single mother who worked 3 jobs to educate her children so that they may have an opportunity to be somebody, the dream is still alive. We celebrate Dr. King's legacy when we capture the story of the father that did not have a college degree, yet he worked from sunup to sundown to ensure that every last one of his children had a college education. Dr. King would dream and remind us of the reality that we've got to highlight teachers and educators who have helped us along the way. When we thought we couldn't be something, there have been those in those classrooms that have told us we can be somebody. Coupled with the great stories that have headlined the Scanner News, we must not forget that Dr. King didn't just champion the front cover of the Scanner paper, but he also was a drum major for those that didn't have a voice. Which is why he declared on February 4th, 1968, at the end of his message entitled The Drum Major Instinct, he bellowed out, if I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or even with a song, if I can show somebody he's traveling wrong, then my living would not be in vain. Dr. King's dream has come a long way, yet it has not been fully met. In fact, I know if you've been to somebody's church, you heard the old song, we've come this far by what? Yeah, you know what it is, yeah. And you must understand that as we've come this far by faith, faith will lead us home. You must understand that we've come this far by faith, but I declare to you today that this far, excuse my French, ain't enough. We've come this far by faith, but we've got miles yet to go. This far ain't enough. We've come this far by faith, but understand with our brothers and our sisters with us, we will reach the promised land. But as you think about that promised land, as you think about where it is that we're going as a people, in order for us to get there, you've got to take daily inventory of what's on the inside of you. My freshman year of college, I got a young lady's phone number. Hey, don't hate. My wife is watching. I got her phone number at church, but on a college campus in the middle of Texas, I got a young lady's phone number, and I told her that on our first date, I'm going to take you to a place. That time is up for me. I got a minute or two left. Thank you, Sister Bobby. I told her I'm going to take her to a place where she would see the people make all her food. Miss Bobby, you messing with me now. So I told her on the first date, I'm going to take her to a spot where you can see the people make all your food. She said, oh, wow, we're going to we're going to Hibachi? Where we going? So we pulled up the subway. But did I lie? She got extra onions and bell pepper. And, come on, somebody. Yeah. She didn't get just the yellow mustard. She got that honey. Yeah, she got it. And we get to the end of the line, and they try to give my date a small cup. I said, no, this mine. Give her a big cup. So she gets the big gulp, and she goes over to the fountain drink because, you know, Subway, they don't have Sprite. So she got some Sierra Mist. And she's so excited she begins to pour and get all of the whatever she can fit inside of that big gulp cup. She doesn't know as she's doing that the line behind her is swelling. People are waiting to get their Pepsi, their Mountain Dew. They're waiting to get their drink. So as she finishes putting off the suds or the fizz and putting some more, she finally turns around, and there's a gentleman standing next to her, behind her, and she doesn't see him, and she bumps into him, and guess what happens? What's in her cup spilled over onto him. And I think about you and I in this journey, and some days when we want to give up, we've got to check. We've got to check and ensure that we are taking inventory of what's inside of us, because in this struggle, what's inside, whoever you bump into, your contents spill over onto somebody else. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, what did you walk in here today with? Did you come with despair, or did you come with hope? Because you bump into somebody today, you must understand that whatever is in your cup, whoever you bump into today, what's in your cup spills over onto them. And so as I sit down today, I want you to take good care of your cup. I want you to guard your cup with all that is within you, because in order for the dream to stay alive, in order for your cup to stay filled with good stuff, I want you to do three things, and I'm going to sit down. Number one, I want you to go. I want you to do what, everybody? I want you to do what, everybody? Number one, I want you to go hard for your people. I want you to go to the ends of the earth to ensure that you are helping, that you are extending whatever you can to help somebody along the way. Number two, I want you to glow. Do what, everybody? Number one, I want you to do what? And number two, I want you to do what? I want you to, listen, there's a book that King would often speak from, and it talks about letting your light so shine before men. Listen, if there's something inside of you that could help somebody who's at a disadvantage, let your light so shine. If there's some revelation that has been given to you that will help somebody on this journey, don't you hide your light under a bushel, but glow. The last thing I want you to do, and then I'll take my seat. The last thing I want you to do after you glow, I want you to make sure every single day of your life you continue to grow. Grow in your knowledge of what people need from you to help the cause. Grow in your understanding of the reality that at the end of the day, some people may need more than others, but as you continue to grow in your capacity to help somebody build, I promise you will be the better for it. And at the end of that journey, we'll be able to stand up with Dr. King and understand the full reality and the fullness of what we've been in, and we'll be able to join in with them after we finish going, after we finish glowing, after we finish growing. We can say with him, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. That's my time. God bless you.